So today we are making something that's really fun and surprising, but actually only uses a few ingredients. And the reason for that is that the sauce that we're going to use is so simple that you don't really need much else. So here we have just a regular sirloin steak. You could use any steak you want, but we're going to put it on a sauce that's inspired by bel puri. So for those of you who've been to India, bel puri is one of the best street snacks. When I lived in India, it was like one of my favorite things, and it uses a puffed rice and tamarind along with a lot of other great ingredients. But I loved that idea of the texture of the puffed rice with sort of the sweetness of tamarind. If you've never had it, it's kind of one of the best secret sauces out there. And you can get it from most grocery stores, and even if you can't, it's shelf stable, so you can order it on Amazon or wherever you want. It's super easy to get, and you just keep it in the fridge, and it lasts for a long time. You kind of think of it like a ketchup or a mustard. That's the kind of way you should think about this, putting it on salt. It has that sweetness, but a little bit of tanginess. It's one of my absolute favorites. So the way that we make this steak is really fun. First, you can marinate it in the tamarind sauce. Literally, you just take the tamarind paste and you rub it on top of the steak. You can do this the night before, you can do this an hour ahead, you can do it 1 minute before, whatever you'd rather, but be generous with it. You wanna make sure it has a really good coating. And then we're just gonna salt it. Again, I know different people fall into different camps about when to salt your steak and when not to, but I am definitely in the camp of just do it before when it comes to steak. Other meats we can get into later, but when it comes to steak, just do it before. It makes your life easier. So that's it. We are just putting tamarind paste and salt on the steak. And so now we're gonna put the steak in a pan. We are going to put just a little bit of canola oil or whatever oil you like to use, just so it doesn't stick. And this pan gets really hot, so I'm just gonna, put my gloves on. But what's really great about this is you just put the oil in, you throw the steak on, and that's it. You just let it go for 2 minutes. What's really cool about this steak is we're gonna finish it in the oven. You're gonna wanna make sure that your oven is put to broil. That's because at the end, we're gonna put these Rice Krispies on top, or whatever puffed rice cereal you have, and it's just really fun. Like, it creates a texture that when you're eating the steak, you're kind of like, oh, there's like an extra crunchiness. Because I find that with steak, the hardest thing is the texture. Like, you need something on top of it. You need something to make it a little bit more exciting. So we're gonna have this steak go for 2 minutes. We're gonna do it a little quickly here, just to get us going. And then you're just gonna flip it over. And again, if you wanna do more tamarind, if you wanna do more, that's great. You can do that here as well, or you can not add it. It's kind of up to you. But I like to, at this stage, while the steak is cooking here, to just throw a little bit more of the tamarind paste on top. And the reason for that is because it gives it an extra coating that the Rice Krispies are gonna go on, and it helps them stick to it. You can also add more salt here if you like. I'm a bit of a salt fiend, so I add salt to everything. And then we're gonna take these Rice Krispies, and this is what's cool. We're literally just going to stick them on top. And again, it really depends on your steak. I like to say about 2 minutes for each side, but it's kind of up to you depending on, how well done you like your steak. I'm a rare steak kind of gal. So that's it. We've got this here, and now we're gonna take it to the oven. You wanna be careful because obviously your pan is gonna be really hot, and you just wanna make sure that it's set to broil. It should smoke a little bit because, again, we wanna get that great crust on the outside. All right, and we're gonna stick it under the broiler. The point now of sticking it under the broiler is you wanna get a little bit more crispiness and brown into those Rice Krispies. If you don't have a broiler at home, or you don't like using your broiler, you're a little afraid of it, like, that's totally fine. This can just go in a high heat oven. Because the steak has already cooked a lot here, it's really about just getting that crispiness. So the difference for the steak in the oven is you're just kind of finishing it off. So the broil piece of it is really just for the Rice Krispies. So do as you like. We're gonna clear off our little table here because now we are getting ready for our steak to be done. And again, this is totally personal preference. I get questions all the time on like, what is the correct way to cook a steak? Like, it's really how you like cooking a steak. But in general, you want to make sure that you have that crispy crust on the outside. So if you like a rare steak, you really want to do a high heat here and then broil it in the oven so that you're getting that delicious crispiness. And then, yeah, this is so good. So this has browned, perfect. And we're immediately gonna move our steak off and onto our cutting board. And you know, you can, if you did it a little too much or whatever, you can just put it here. And this is it. You're gonna let it rest. That's all we did. You saw that we did all of that totally live. There's no resting time, there's no waiting. I mean, you are gonna have it rest for a second here because you don't want the juices to come out, but it's that simple. And so you can make this steak with friends. You could do it on a grill if you'd rather, and then you don't necessarily get the browning on top. But with that tamarind sauce and with those Rice Krispies, you're gonna add an element that is gonna have people going like, wow, what is that? And you're just gonna say to them, oh, I'm brilliant. I have this delicious tamarind sauce for my Rice Krispies. And that's it. Now that's how I like it. You can obviously cook it a little bit longer, but then you have a perfect steak treat inspired by one of the best street foods in the world. Cheers.